I'm now joined by Ben Joy, the man of the moment. Hi, Ben.
Hello.
How's it going?
How you doing? Man of the moment. I like that. I am the man of this moment, right here and
You're
now.
a man in a moment.
Yeah, finally, I've got a moment. It's only taken 27 years.
Okay, what are we talking about here? We're talking about seasonal updates to games. So just like Animal Crossing, which we just saw there, shown off by Emma and Tony, games often have seasonal updates, whether that's for Halloween or for a specific season of the year or for Christmas or the holidays. And you've been thinking about this a bit this week, and you've actually published a blog, which we're going to encourage
I did.
people to go and look at. But maybe just wait a minute first. Don't just run straight off and go and read it because we're still talking to you, and it's rude to leave while we're talking. But yeah, what have you been looking at this week, Ben, and what have you been thinking about?
Yeah, so obviously it's now becoming the norm to get these seasonal updates, and you see them more and more. So I just was thinking about, why you should do them, what's good about them, and kind of getting them right as well, because you shouldn't just do them for the sake of doing them because everyone else is doing them. With it being so competitive, you have to get it right. If you kind of do something a bit meh, it's going to fly under the radar, and then it's not.
Ben? Okay, either I've lost internet or Ben's lost internet. And if it's me, then the whole stream's going to go down. If it's Ben, then you'll just see his face frozen for some time in quite an amusing face. So I'll just talk about his.
Going to be worth.
Oh, he could be back. Ben, can you hear me?
Okay. Are you? Can you hear me?
We're waiting for your VCAM connection.
Okay, let me try and sort that. I apologise. My internet dropped out, which is far
the
from
scariest
ideal.
thing of all. No Wi-Fi.
Yeah. No Wi-Fi.
While Ben's having a think about connecting his camera.
To...
Yeah, do you want to drop out and come back in a second? That's okay.
Yeah, apologies.
No worries. While Ben's doing that, I'll talk you through some of the points in his blog, and then he will just repeat them when he gets back, and he'll look like a fool. There's a variety of reasons why you would engage with seasonal updates for a game, and one of the primary ones, which you can read about in the blog, is community building. So, creating seasonal, timely content that's happening in real time makes it easier for fans of your game to feel part of something. And Emma's talked about this, actually. She's quoted in the blog from our Animal Crossing video. You're able to engage with things that other people are engaging with at the same time, and that breeds a sense of community, which is a really valuable reason to do this in the first place. But there are other reasons as well. And Ben, hopefully you're now back. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. Can you hear me and see me?
I can hear you and I can see you. I was just telling the people at home about community, but maybe you want to talk about other aspects which are interesting, like longevity, perhaps.
Yeah. So obviously something we've talked about quite a lot, and something that we.
Is he gone again? Okay.
Believe a lot.
Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you, but I
Okay.
don't know whether you can hear me.
I think I can hear you again now. I think you just had a momentary blip again. Do you want to just say that again?
Yes, I was just saying that we've talked about long life games a lot. It's something that we're quite passionate about, well, very passionate about, and things like themed updates are a great way to do that, because, as you mentioned, it is very much a community driven thing. It's very much for your existing community, because it's not necessarily going to pull someone in who hasn't already bought the game, but it might be enough to bring someone back who has maybe lapsed or isn't playing the game as much, to get them back playing the game. And it's then from them playing the game and starting to talk about the game again, that's when you'll get the new people in. And I think that's the really important thing with the longevity, that it's to bring people back or to keep people playing. So obviously you just had Emma and Tony on, and in the blog post, I was speaking to Emma about it for the blog post, and she very kindly gave me some words for that, about her having played Animal Crossing, and one of the things that she said was about coming back and playing the game, and very much feeling part of that community. I don't know whether you said this. Apologies if I'm repeating, because when I dropped out. But the thing about themed updates and seasonal updates is that it's happening here and now. It's very time specific. So if you miss it, you've missed it. So there's kind of, you have that, I don't want to miss out factor. Like with a Halloween update, if you're not here and doing the Halloween update right now, you've missed it. And again, with Christmas, if you're not playing at Christmas, you've missed it. And it just gives people a chance to play together and talk together about a game, about something that's already happening in their everyday lives and associating it with the game. So that's the real, the strong longevity factor and also the community factor working together.
Yeah. And I guess it also helps games to kind of stay relevant. And you kind of hinted at that, but like, you know, gaming is such a competitive space, and once a game's been purchased, or if your game is even maybe free as part of Game Pass or whatever it is, if somebody has your game available to them, that's not even necessarily the end of the battle. You're kind of competing for their attention. You're competing against, you know, watching Netflix. You're competing against playing all the other games they've got in their library. They're competing against everything else that's going on in the world. And doing stuff like this, like you say, it almost creates that kind of FOMO, that kind of fear of missing out, where you're like, oh, if I don't play the Halloween content now, on November the 1st, it'll be too late. Might be in time for the Guy Fawkes content, but I will have missed the Jack-o'-lanterns and the other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what's really important as well is, like, with Halloween coming up, and I know, like, I'm not getting involved because I'm a big wuss, but like I know from like Williams, like, oh, what scary movies are we going to watch this week because it's Halloween? It's kind of like if you've got scary content coming out in your game or season, it's like, oh, what scary games are we going to play this week? Or, you know, what games are we playing that has a scary update that's going to fit into the mood that we're feeling in? So it's getting games into that space so people start thinking about it like that. As you say, so your default isn't just what scary movies are we going to watch, but what scary games are we going to play? So, it's very much that, again, feeds into the relevance, and it needs to be a relevant update. I think, as I mentioned in the blog post, if a lot of them are free, which is, you know, very much why they're for the community. And if it is going to be paid for, it absolutely has to be relevant to the game, and it has to be meaty as well. Like, you don't want to pay, even if it's like £4, £2.50, something like that, to just have some like pumpkins dotting around. Like, that isn't enough to make you want to do it. And if anything, that's going to have a negative effect if you buy something and it's not meaty. So again, if that needs to be relevant, and again, if you're doing a paid for update, that is again very much for the community. It's not so much as a reward, but more, we're trying to get our existing players to buy this. You're unlikely to get someone who is on the fence about the game to purchase the game to then purchase the DLC. Like, it's not really going to go that way. That's too high a barrier of entry for a new person. But yeah, that's something to think about as well, whether it's going to be free or paid for. Is what people are paying for, is it worth it? Because if it's not, then don't do it.
Yeah. Insightful question from the chat, and I think this is a question that we really need to answer on the record. Behind you, have you got Quality Street or Heroes?
Heroes. Because in Heroes, there's not one that isn't nice.
I think I agree with you, actually. You're right. Heroes is a strong choice.
There's no nuts, there's anything like... But they took Dreams out. If they put Dreams in, then it would be the perfect one.
Usually it's me who's shilling for like sponsorship deals, but you're going all in on Cadbury's.
Yeah, because they could then do a Halloween update for Heroes and change Dreams to be Nightmares, and there you go. Missing a trick.
What would a nightmare taste like, though?
I'd still hope it would taste nice. It'd be a bit naff if it just tasted horrible. It'd taste like my failed dreams. That's what
it's the dreams from the factory that they've dropped on the floor. They just picked them up and put them in the wrapper and said that's the nightmares.
Yeah, just like a couple of hairs, a bit of fluff on it. Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway,
yeah, I was interested if you knew any, if you had any opinions about who's doing this well at the minute. Like, who is nailing Halloween for you?
I mean, the one we just saw, Animal Crossing, is nailing it. I mean, Animal Crossing has nailed everything all year. It's just the game that keeps getting stronger, and I think you saw from Tony and Emma's Islands how strong, that update is, and people are engaging with it and having fun with it. I also liked the look of the No Man's Sky one that came out on Monday. So they'd done an update a little while ago, and they'd brought that back to the forefront and added more to it. So they built on a successful update, and again, that feeds back to the relevance. So the update came out a few months ago, and it's now relevant, and they've updated it again and pushing people on the Halloween side of things, and people are loving that update. So I think that's really good to use content you had, improve it for the situation and the time of year that you're in now. Is a great example of how to do it well. And again, as always with No Man's Sky, it was a free update. So
yeah. Well, thanks for that. And if you're interested in finding out more about Ben Joy's thoughts on seasonal updates, there's a whole blog full of them. That's like this, but with words rather than faces and noises. You can find that at etchplay or etchuk.com/play, I should say. And we've also put a link in the chat if you're on Twitch. So yeah, make sure that you go and check that out after the show.